I think I have to go with Shark Attack, preferably a 16 to 20-foot great white. Number one, it's totally impressive. I want there to be a story behind my death. If you tell people you died of old age or something, they're just like, oh. But if you say Shark Attack, it's, oh my God, tell me more. Plus, that would support my idea that I may have lived forever if it weren't for the shark. Two, it gives back to nature. As a biologist, the natural order of the world is something I value, and nothing aside from an apex predator is worthy of taking me out. Three, I think it would be more peaceful than expected. Most accounts I've heard of shark attacks say they just felt some pressure when bitten, not severely painful. Most victims die of shock and blood loss, so from a sensory perspective, it's not the worst. With a shark that size, it will be quick enough. They usually take an arm or a leg, so the bleeding will do the job. Story 1. I would like to die quietly in my sleep like my grandfather, not yelling and screaming like the passengers in his car. Story 2. In a taffy factory explosion, I want my obituary to say, "Now that is what I call a sticky situation." Story 3. My wife and I decided we would be 100 years old and die in each other's arms, completely naked, asleep overnight after having had sex one last time. Story 4. Top 3 ways I would prefer to die. 1. In the glory of battle. 2. Between or underneath a woman's thighs. 3. At the age of 90 with a belly full of wine and food. Story 5. Incredibly violent but quick death in the classic last stand for those I love. Or peacefully in my sleep. That would work too. Story 6. I keep asking my wife to sit on my face and kill me, but she keeps refusing. Since that is not going to happen, I think an explosion would be interesting. Story 7. Freak lightning struck right in the middle of a pleasant conversation while taking a walk on a beautiful autumn day. Out of nowhere, boom, and my brain felt boiled to perfection. Exploded. I was left with my mind blown. Story 8. I love this poem. Let Me Die a Young Man's Death. By Roger McGough. Story 9. Preferably in my sleep. I assume it would not be much different than now, except that I do not wake up. I already do not dream too often. If that is not a choice, then when I get old and decrepit, my ego says I would like to go out fighting. But that would likely be painful torture, so I should listen to what logic says. Pump me full of enough drugs to go into a coma, load me into a plane, and dump me out over a live volcano. Not necessarily active, just one with an open caldera that will eventually erupt. Story 10. In my sleep and without any illness or injury, I would think of death every time I sleep. I am old, happy, healthy, and my time has come to go. Story 11. Lucky for you, I know how I want to die. I want to die a peaceful death of old age, with a smile on my face, surrounded by my wife, children, grandchildren, and maybe great-grandchildren. That's how I want to die. Will I die like that? I'll never know until I'm on my deathbed. Life is very transient, and unless it is suicide, my death is out of my control. Love of fate. Remember death. Story 12. I think it would be drowning in a lake or something. I do not know how to swim, so it would be accurate. The timing would most probably be in the evening, where I could see the sunset, the sky changing colors, birds flying overhead, and a cool breeze. I hope no one would find my body. I just hope to be remembered in their memories. I know a spot too. Is that bad? Story 13. There is a death roller coaster. I think it is in Denmark. This ride is for people who have a terminal illness. Before it starts, every rider must push a button, signifying that they want to do it. If one person changes their mind, they are let off the coaster. Here is an animation of it. It is still in development. Story 14. I'm about 80 years old. My daughters have their own families and are loving life. My wife just went to bed after a goodnight kiss. I tucked her in and hobbled out to the garden. It's getting dark, with no sound except a few birds and the hint of sunset peeking over the horizon with a deep orange glow. I light up a joint, take a deep puff and exhale, easing my arthritis a little bit. I put on some music and spend 10 minutes enjoying the cool breeze while listening to that old 2000s band, Linkin Park. I close my eyes and envelop myself in the colors, blending and mixing together for eternity. My wife gets my life insurance so she can enjoy the years she has left without me. Story 15. Whenever it happens, I would want it to be something akin to nitrogen asphyxiation, basically drifting to sleep and not waking up. If I get to choose my age, then I would say whenever I cease to be able to clean myself properly, unless that inability is due to an amputation that occurred while I was still young. I am treating this like a monkey's paw situation. I do not want to drift to sleep and die just because I struggle to clean myself one time. Story 16. The small woods behind the hospital where my nearest morgue is located are far enough from the car park so that the brief police presence is not an obstruction, but close enough that my body is convenient for gurney removal. The method does not matter. Just be quick and not too messy. Story 17. Doing what I believe is the right thing. 2 weeks ago, I heard screaming outside my apartment. I looked outside and saw a woman on the hood of a car yelling at the driver. I pulled out my phone, made eye contact with the driver, and started to call emergency services. He saw me dialing and apparently did not want to deal with that, so he walked away angrily. She stopped screaming and parked the car, so I did not complete the call. They were a black couple, and I did not want anyone to get hurt over a lover's quarrel. When she refused to talk to me, I went back inside. I told my family what happened, just in case, but was told to mind my own business and not get involved. Cannot do that. I am not going to watch someone get hurt because I am scared. Like Harry Dresden, I want to die doing the right thing. Story 18. By brainstroke while sitting on the beach and looking at the sea. Story 19. I ride to work, so it's a toss-up between a heart attack while beating my Strava time uphill or a meat crayon. If I could choose, though, I'd high-five a wad of nitroglycerin or fuel oil. A massive explosion is the way to go, also from an entertainment value perspective. Ideally, after seeing my grandchildren grow up and playing an active part in it. Story 20. Peacefully in my sleep at old age, after having a joyful life of hope and love and accomplishing all my goals. Story 21. An hour before, I am given a large amount of laxatives and refried beans. As the time approaches, I am placed in the front seat of a pickup truck. A steel cable is secured around my neck, with the other end running out the back window. The slack is coiled in the bed of the truck and the other end is firmly attached to a tree. When I am ready, I press the gas pedal and speed away. As the slack is taken up, the cable pulls my head off, causing an explosive release. Someone else then has to clean up the mess. Story 22. Fighting a fish in a raging river and getting swept under into the current is a proper drowning unassisted. It ends life at about a minute and a half before you pass out. That's not much suffering but a chance to let your life flash before you and enjoy the show. Then I would like my ashes to be packed into a very large skyrocket and have someone launch me into the sky to kick off my death party. Story 23. Peacefully in my sleep at 90 after my partner has passed. I think I would rather deal with losing my spouse than think about my spouse losing me. Story 24. Imagine, my kids and grandkids come over, maybe it is a family gathering just to hang out. The grill is out for hot dogs and hamburgers. Someone is making oxtail, jerk chicken, rice and peas, and more. There are some wine coolers and regular juice for everyone. Classic reggae is playing. Grandkids are running around causing a ruckus. My kids are all catching up with each other, having a good time. Every now and then they cycle to give me and their mother a hug and kiss, maybe talk for a little bit. Then they go back because they have to check on the food, or tend to one of the grandkids that jumped off the porch after they were told not to, break up a tussle, the usual. I will be next to my wife on our porch swing, leaning against each other, slowly rocking back and forth. I will tell her it has been a good life. Rough at times, but a good one. I put my arm around her shoulders and give her a kiss. Tell her I love her. Close my eyes, lean back, smile and die. Or keep eating chocolate chip muffins and oxtail until my heart explodes. Either is fine. Story 25. Winston Churchill said, "Young men have often been ruined through owning horses or through backing horses, but never through riding them unless, of course, they break their necks, which, taken at a gallop, is a very good death to die. I once fell from a horse at a gallop and got a nasty head injury from which I nearly died, but I feel cheated from the full experience. Seriously though, I still ride, and if I could die with my boots on, I would be happy. Story 26. Whatever it is, I just want it to be instant. No suffering or pain. Just done. Either standing in front of God to be judged or in a vast void. Story 27. Very old. From something sudden like a massive heart attack or stroke. If it had to be an unnatural death, I would probably choose hypoxia. Apparently, most people who die that way do not even realize they are losing consciousness. If it was doing something I enjoyed, I suppose I would choose a skiing accident. It would have to be quick, though, like slamming headfirst into a tree at high speed. Definitely not dying in an avalanche. That sounds horrifying. Story 28. Around 90, a plane crashed into the ocean or a remote mountain range. I would send a heartfelt message to air traffic control letting them know that as an old dog, I was making my last stand, choosing to go out with dignity. Story 29. Decapitation sounds cool. I'll add more detail. While sword fighting my arch enemy in a long and epic fight. As we both grow tired at the end, they decapitate me while offering their begrudging respect. Story 30. Slowly recovering from heartbreak at the age of 38. Out here living the dream, baby. Just have to finally let go. Story 31. Dying while saving many people or those I love. I think that is the only way to reduce or completely remove the fear I would otherwise have if I knew it was about to happen. Story 32. Plane crash in my golden years. I always feel comfortable in planes. Even when turbulence is rocking the plane and people are panicking and crying around me, I feel at ease. If I am going to die, I want it to be fast, and I want to feel emotionally comfortable. Ideally, and as we have discussed, my wife would be there next to me. We have agreed that we would like to go at the same time, so we will not have to face a life of empty days without each other. Story 33. Power armored firefight with a hail of gunfire or during surgery after 60. I am either going to be pumped on adrenaline to really care or going in my sleep after I have done a good amount. Story 34. If I cannot choose a peaceful death in my old age, then I think maybe a gunshot would be kind of cool since I love firearms so much. To die by what I loved. Story 35. I already died by my choice. I used a crossbow to the head as I twisted it around. I stayed conscious for the entire surgery until I died anyway. But I am still kicking. Honestly, I do not care how I die at this point. I am at the place where I would gladly buy death a drink and casually walk with it into the afterlife, whatever that may be. Story 36. If I could, I would choose to die peacefully in my sleep like my grandfather did, and not wide awake, screaming in horror like the passengers in his automobile. Story 37. I am going to take a page from Tyrion Lannister's book. So, of old age, in my bed, with a belly full of wine and a woman's lips wrapped around me. Story 38. An explosion that would atomize every part of me. I want it to be sudden and to ensure my brain dies along with the rest of me. Story 39. Slow and painful while fully aware, just like I lived my life. Well, maybe not the fully aware part. Story 40. Intoxicated or sedated when I have reached the age where I am unable to have a conversation or give advice, need diapers, and call caregivers names every 2 minutes. I refuse to accept that condition or to put someone else through it. Story 41. Read accounts of the Indianapolis and consider how peaceful you think a shark attack really is. Story 42. The daydream is always one of two things. The first is I slowly fall asleep while listening to some of my favorite calming music and I simply never wake up again. The second is I am in some sort of tragic car accident and I slowly bleed out on my best friend's arms, telling them I love them and giving some parting words. In neither of these daydreams am I particularly old. Story 43. There is a movie quote that I am misremembering, but it boils down to at an advanced age in bed with a fit young person. That sounds good, to be honest. Story 44. Bullet to the head. Quick and painless. Even better if it does not kill me, just renders me brain dead so my organs can be donated. Story 45. I want to live to be 99 and be shot by a jealous wife. Edited to add. My fiancé says we will die while bungee jumping on my 100th birthday. Story 46. Sudden infant death syndrome. In my crib, the last thing I see is the mobile spinning above me. The last thing I hear is my mother singing me to sleep. Story 47. Either quietly in my sleep or an instant death crashing the motorcycle at 200 miles per hour with a 6-star wanted level. Story 48. If I can choose, I would like to be guided deep into the Sahara Desert. I would set up a luxurious tent and spend the night watching the stars. I would have a feast with my favorite food, listen to Nine Inch Nails' Downward Spiral, and enjoy some good jazz. When the sun rises, I would start walking towards it into the horizon, carrying a gun in case the journey becomes too slow or prolonged. Story 49. I'm definitely parking the car in the garage, getting high, and playing my end-of-life playlist consisting of heartbreaking songs and Jack Hayes. Story 50. I used to say I wanted to be shot by a jealous husband who caught me in bed with his 25-year-old wife on my 100th birthday. Now, I prefer either a shark attack while diving, a grizzly bear attack, or doing something like Kowalski in the movie Vanishing Point from 1971. I have also said that if I ever found out I had a terminal illness, I would rob banks until I could afford a high-end sports car and then blow up a bridge at the end. Someone asked why I didn't just do the chase and then surrender. I replied that if I did that, they would find a cure for whatever I had, and I would be in prison for the rest of my life. Plus, I have a sports car now, so I don't need to buy one. Story 51. I want to die defending humanity from an alien invasion. I am more than happy to be the person absorbing all the laser fire to help protect my fellow humans. Story 52. Contrary to everyone here, not in my sleep. Sleep apnea quickly changed my opinion on that. Give me a lethal injection or a method that will instantly destroy my brainstem. Story 53. I want my head chopped off by guillotine. It should be a clean and quick slice, probably the least harmful. In my last moments, I hope to see my own body severed from my head as I drift away into peace. Story 54. I want to skydive naked into the 50-yard line of the Super Bowl during halftime. Without a parachute, of course. Story 55. Go with orca attack instead. Orcas are more formidable than great white sharks, and orcas are the apex predator between the two. Story 56. Dying in my sleep. I fear pain and disease more than anything in the world, to the point it actively affects my enjoyment of life. I worry about cancer, losing limb function, or going blind. More than anything, I want either a peaceful death or an incredibly quick one. No, dying from diseases or injury over days or hours is not quick to me. I am talking seconds. Story 57. I want to die like my father, peacefully in my sleep, unlike his passengers who screamed in terror. Story 58. If I am unable to walk due to old age, I seriously, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, expect my friends to tie a bunch of explosives to my chest and wheelchair, then push me off a cliff, preferably down a mega ramp so I can do something impressive before I go, so I can go out with a real bang. Story 59. Hopefully I make it to 100. My vision is a tall cocktail, perhaps a rum punch, with a sizable serving of a toxin like phentermine. I am sitting in my chair by the beach, enjoying the ocean view. I am broke, homeless, jobless, and not wearing a single stitch of clothing. A couple of good swigs of my father's medicine, and let death welcome me into her loving embrace. Story 60. I have to hold the line for my comrades to escape and save the world as I face unbeatable odds. Or, sitting on the porch at sunset like in Minecraft. Story 61. Instant death. I don't want to see it coming. Just a snap of 2 fingers and fade to black or follow the light. I really hate pain, so quick and easy would be nice. Story 62. Quickly, like those billionaires in that submarine or those guys in the decompression chamber. Before their brain could even register it, they were dead. If that is not possible, then just fast but gentle, like having sex with Adriana Lima from the 90s. Story 63. After infiltrating the evil mastermind's floating castle and defeating his generals, I will have a fierce duel to the death. I must stab myself to deliver the final blow to him and then escape before the base self-destructs. Story 64. Racing a 2013 ZL1 Chevrolet Camaro and going out in a blaze of glory while still winning the race. Like exploding or hitting a tree dead on. Story 65. Well, I have had extremely graphic dreams about death since I was a boy. It led me to believe for a while that I have lived past lives. The one that stuck with me the most was being burned alive. With that being said, I would like to die peacefully in my sleep. Story 66. Falling into a supermassive black hole large enough that I would be well inside the event horizon before spaghettification. Story 67. The meteor that is out is blue. It is not big enough to hurt anyone else but takes me out quickly and efficiently. Story 68. Some situations where I am like 50 or 60 years old and I have to toughen myself in some extreme way to save a handful of people. Take down an active shooter who shoots me, but I manage to get the gun in a struggle and shoot him. We are both the only casualties. For aliens have invaded Earth and I have to stay in a shelter, lure a bunch of aliens into a building, and then blow it up with explosives. For have the high ground on a building in a future post-apocalyptic America similar to The Purge. A bunch of bandits have tracked my group and me down, but I can hold them off in a gunfight while my group escapes through secret tunnels. I will not survive the shootout. For I get bitten in a zombie apocalypse and my group and I are about to be cornered, so I make a lot of noise. I walk out to the group of zombies with nothing but a hammer and a brick and start knocking heads as a distraction. Story 69. Step 1. Take a large amount of drugs. Step 2. Secure yourself to a seat with several high-powered fireworks, enough to lift your body several hundred feet into the air. Step 3. Launch the firework chair over a location such as an elementary school field. Step 4. Momentarily delight children with a big firework display before permanently traumatizing them when the charred pieces of your body start falling. Step 5. Make international headlines. Story 70. Sitting in bed, reading my favorite book while my wife stimulates me, and I am shocked by something in the book. Story 71. What is it Tyrion Lannister said? At age 80, with a belly full of mead and a woman's mouth around my manhood. Story 72. Sit in a silent garden or a forest with a brilliant cup of hot ginger tea and go into an endless, painless sleep happily, never to wake up, just lying, merging with Mother Earth. Story 73. Whatever it is, I do not want to see it coming, you know? Make it quick. I do not want to waste away in a hospital bed or a nursing home like my or my wife's grandparents did. Story 74. Before I lose my bodily function and dignity, the moment I cannot wipe myself, I am going out in a blaze of glory. Story 75. Free fall from 13,000 feet, falling 100% vertically to build up to 200 miles per hour. No chance of survival and possibly not much pain. It would be a rush. Story 76. Right at ground zero in a nuclear attack. Instantly vaporized. Completely painless. Your brain does not even have time to register anything. You would not even know what happened. Story 77. Probably like my wife who was ill and took an accidental overdose. That was not accidental, and to do it in my house while watching your favorite TV show and leaving me to find you in the morning. I hope you suffer for what you put me and my children through the past 20 years. You were selfish and did not deserve to go peacefully in your sleep. On a lighter note, I have found an amazing woman who loves, respects, and cares for me now. I became a grandfather, and my children love me. Story 78. I would want to randomly explode in a blast of gore, just spontaneously pop like a giant zit. Somewhere it would be captured on video so I can be immortalized in a meme. No bombs, no injuring anyone, just popping blood and gore everywhere. Preferably soaking someone. Mid-rant so that they go into shock and scream for hours until slipping into a catatonic state saying, "He was there, then he wasn't. He was there, then he wasn't." Either that or death by SNU SNU. Either way, someone is going to be screaming with their face covered in me. Story 79. I mean, if it's exclusively about the method of death without any strings attached, like how my form of death affects anyone, either a heart attack causing instant death during sex or heroin overdose. I hear that dying from those causes feels so good that you'll get angry when someone saves you. Story 80. Just a bench somewhere very secluded, overlooking a cliff with water. I want to fade out as I look at the water and have someone find my skeleton years later. Story 81. First choice is to pass away peacefully in my sleep from heart failure. Second choice is to be vaporized instantly in a nuclear flash. Story 82. Nuclear Holocaust. See when the nuclear bombs are expected to hit. Drive outside the city. With 5 minutes until impact, turn around towards the city, play the song Freebird at full volume, and accelerate quickly. Story 83. Humans in the future return to show us how to colonize Mars. They also have a 100-year pill that adds 100 years of life expectancy after 80 years. I joined the Mars colony as a breeder. Story 84. Bleeding out after having a limb ripped off by a shark does not sound peaceful. I prefer dying peacefully in my sleep. A nice, easy death with no pain, and hopefully after living a long, happy life. Story 85. People who think there is no good way to die have obviously never heard the phrase drug-fueled sex heart attack. Frankie Boyle. Story 86. Either die peacefully of old age surrounded by my loved ones, or in a violent and brutal last stand protecting those I love. Story 87. I will choose to die peacefully at an old age after listening to Frank Sinatra's My Way, preferably sitting in a comfortable rocking chair, drinking a cup of coffee, and reminiscing about the best moments of my life. Story 88. In my sleep. If not, tripping on the sidewalk, banging my head. Boom, dead. Got that idea from Heart and Soul, the movie. Story 89. As far as tough situations go, for sure some special operations type firefight that goes sideways. Realistically, in my sleep. Story 90. Shot dead while fighting for a good cause or peacefully in my sleep, interwoven with the love of my life. Story 91. The grace of a happy death, laying down my life for my friends. The particulars do not matter. If I am fated to live a long life and die in my bed, the ability to say I ran the good race all comes down to friendship and love, all of it. Story 92. Preferably in a fight to save humanity against a demon where my body slowly shuts down and I cannot even feel pain, but I keep fighting and win. Then I die with a smile on my face, and it is memorialized and used as inspiration for humanity to keep growing. Story 93. In my bed, at the ripe age of 80, with the taste of wine on my lips, and a woman's mouth around me. Tyrion Lannister. Story 94. Probably drowning. I want to feel water filling up my lungs. I have always wanted to dream about myself drowning, but it has not happened yet. Story 95. Your preferred way to die is a shark attack? I think you have no idea what you are talking about, and you would regret that decision deeply. Most accounts come from people who survived because they did not receive a large enough bite to be fatal. So yes, they can say whatever they want. You cannot ask the people who died how painful it was for them. It is not instant. You will experience pain, and a lot of it. You will be petrified with fear and want to cry. A complete trauma before your death. I had an incident where I had to swim 1.5 miles back to the coast at night in tropical waters, not knowing if sharks were around. There had been shark attacks in the area in the past. During the entire swim, I thought I was going to be eaten by a shark and how much it would hurt. The fear itself was already so uncomfortable, not to mention the physical sensation of being eaten. I try to imagine myself back in that situation, and it makes me feel sick. Wanting to put yourself there to die? No. Story 96. Wouldn't dying in space be the ideal option? That way, your body will float in space for millions of years, and you might get discovered and revived by extraterrestrial beings in the future. You might end up outliving the entirety of human civilization. It would be strange waking up and finding out that the last humans died several million years ago. Story 97. Somewhere around age 75 to 80, I want to be surrounded by a group of thugs trying to mug me. I need to have a cane that I can drop to the side, raise my arms to the sky, and say, "I warned you not to do this." 25 seconds after, raising my arms and nothing happens, I will lean down and pick up my cane while the robbers laugh at me and start to move in. At that moment, I want a piece of space to breathe to annihilate me and the 10 feet around me, as if I cast a meteor but got the timing wrong. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.